sorry. I mean, you all may think he's some benevolent grandfather, but that's not the way a lot of people see it.
He has not been a happy camper as of late. I do want to ask you about.
And yet, here he is speaking at the convention
on Monday,
and passing off the baton.
Here's a question I have, and that is: does Kamala Harris tonight, when this handoff sort of unofficially takes place or officially does she become the leader of the Democratic Party?
Yes. I think she does. She
Yeah.
does. Joe Biden absolutely, of course, remains president of the United States for the next 5 months. Will continue to represent America on the world stage and make decisions here at home. But who will become the political leader of the Democratic Party? Yes, this is a moment to hand that mantle off to Kamala Harris. I think that's what you're going to see Joe Biden do tonight. I think that is a very selfless thing to do, given it is not often that you see somebody in elected politics say, you know what? I don't think I'm the solution here. How rare is that?
Selfless.
So I think that So I think tonight that yes, Kamala Harris will become the leader of the political Democratic Party. Yes, absolutely.
The DNC convention kicks off today, and we're going to witness Joe Biden take the stage to endorse Kamala Harris. Now we're being fed the narrative that Biden is stepping aside out of selflessness. That he's a noble statement, willing to sacrifice for the good of the party. But let's cut through the noise and get real. Remember, this is the same Joe Biden who just a couple months ago had one of the worst, most disastrous debate performance in modern U.S. history. His cognitive decline was on full display, and anyone paying attention could see it. Yet, even after that train wreck, Biden was adamant that he wasn't going anywhere. He repeatedly went to the media insisting he was staying in the race, despite what was clear to everyone watching, he wasn't up to the job anymore. But here we are, just a couple weeks later, with Biden bobbing out, and we're supposed to believe it's out of the goodness of his heart? Let's not be duped. This wasn't some grand gesture of selflessness. This was pressure, plain and simple. For weeks, we've heard report of Democrats in Congress behind closed doors, pushing him to drop out.
Top House Intelligence Committee member is the latest Democrat to call on President Biden to withdraw from the 2024 race. There are now 17 Democratic lawmakers telling Joe directly to step aside.
This wasn't about Biden doing what was best for the country. It was about the party's civic faith. And who benefit from this? Kamala Harris, the woman who Biden was likely pressured into picking as VP back in 2020, despite their personal animosity. Now she's being served up as the savior of the Democratic Party, the same Kamala Harris who couldn't win a single delegate in the 2020 primaries.
Well, Kamala Harris can't come to this fight with any knives because they used all of those to stab Joe Biden in the back and get him out of the race. And he wanted to continue on to the DNC, but talk was that they were going to change the rules to try and get him off of the ticket and to get delegates to change their opinions. So that wasn't necessarily a voluntary action by the president.
Who's more radical than Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren? And whose record as a senator and prosecutor is riddled with bad policies? Let's face it, the Democrats are trying to rewrite history and paint Joe Biden as a selfless patriot stepping aside for the good of the country. But the truth is, this is all about damage control. They're hoping to pass Harris off as the answer, despite the fact that many Americans still remember her lackluster performance and her far-left policy. So, as we watch the DNC convention today, don't be fooled by the platitude and the polished speeches. This is a party in crisis, scrambling to put a new face and in a bad situation
think he arrived at this decision that's delivering him into this stage on Monday night through some selfless
I think a lot of
and he wasn't strong-armed and bullied out of this race by the very people in this room tonight. I mean, look.
He didn't have to give it up.
That's the thing. I think a lot of elected officials have
maybe he did
undergone.
Yeah. I mean, Donald Trump did not ever concede the 2020 election. So, I mean, there is a slight difference
and
there.
And you know what? Tonight, the Democrats are going to put on the stage some of the people involved in the January 6th investigation, the committee on Capitol Hill. That's another point of contrast that's going to raise a character question about Donald Trump. And, I mean, I do wonder, as a Republican, if you wish that more of your colleagues had strong-armed him into stepping aside.
Well, we had a real primary. I mean, the Republicans had a primary where people showed up and they voted their preferences, and then the person they voted for actually got the nomination of the party. That's not what the Democrats did. They had a rigged primary where 14 million people voted for Biden, and then they changed their minds later. So if you want to talk about the party of democracy, I do wonder about the optics of the person who's going to get the nomination here has never gotten a single vote for this office. At least the Republicans had a vote, and we stuck to it.
She was on the ticket with him that got 14 million votes in this primary. Also, the incumbent president running effectively more or less unopposed in the primary is pretty standard operating procedure. So to suggest now that that's somehow some sort of undemocratic effort is that's just not true. That's not true.
I mean, you had the guy resign by tweet. I mean.
Wait. I'm sorry. Wait, communicating by tweet is now no longer acceptable for presidential nominees.
You ran the president. You ran the president.
You guys might have a problem with that.
He's been in this profession for 52 years, and you ran this man out of his job by tweet on a Sunday morning. I mean, it's pretty rough. I mean, look, my hat's off to you. You guys, party bosses. I get it. Like you all are rough players. I mean,
we are in Chicago.
I mean, this is like I'm kind of in awe of it.
I see why a lot of Democrats hate Scott Jennings, because he's right. Republicans held an open and transparent primary where voters were given a chance to voice their preferences. The candidate who won most of the support from the base was the one who rightfully secured the nomination. This is how democracy should work, reflecting the will of the people. By comparison, the Democrat opted for backroom deals and manipulation to determine the nominee, undermining the very principle for or pretty much of democracy they claim to uphold. Republican voters had a choice between various candidates and, through a legitimate process, selected the one who best represented their values and concerns. This is democracy in action. Respecting the voters' choice, not imposing a decision from the top down. In contrast, the Democratic Party orchestrated a rigged primary where Joe Biden, who received millions of votes, was effectively pushed out of the race without a proper vote. The process reeked of manipulation, with a party insiders deciding who should lead rather than allowing the electorate to have a say. Kamala Harris is now set to be the nominee, never received a single vote for this office in the primary process, a glaring flaw in the Democrats' claim to be the party of democracy. The idea that Kamala Harris could assume the mantle of leadership without ever securing a vote from the Democratic primary electorate is a blatant affront to democratic principle. In contrast, sharply with the Republican process, where voters were given a genuine choice. Joe Biden, a seasoned politician with over 50 years in public service, was unceremoniously pushed out of the race, reportedly through a simple tweet. Can you imagine? This is a testament to the iron grip that party bosses have over the Democratic Party. They decided that Biden, despite his lifelong ambition to remain president, had to go to a clear path for Kamala Harris. This undemocratic move highlights the ruthless nature of the Democratic establishment and raises a serious question about their commitment to respecting the will of the voters. Biden's exit underscores the power dynamic within the Democratic Party. When party bosses can remove a sitting president with the stroke of a tweet, it's clear that the voter preferences are secondary to political maneuvering. To conclude, I think the Republican primary was a democratic process that respected the will of the voters, while the Democratic Party was a display of insider control and manipulation. As Kamala Harris steps into the spotlight, it's important to remember how she got there. Not through the choice of the people, but through the machinations of a party determined to maintain control. The contrast between the parties could not be clearer. In 2024, voters have a choice. Support a party that values their choice and back one that subvert democracy for political gain.
Listen, we are in unprecedented times. Kate and Scott,
All right, guys.
thank you both.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.